Okay, so first lesson this week, we're going to look at using our knowledge of comparing digits and with decimals in order to order numbers with decimals. Now this works on the same line, so hopefully should be a nice easy step from what we did last week. The first thing we need to think about is two words that are going to come up whenever we're asked to order a set of numbers, and that's the words ascending and descending. And what this is, it tells us the order in which we're going to order numbers, whether we're getting larger or whether we're getting smaller. There's a few ways to think about this, but probably the easiest way is to look at that first letter. We've got ascending starts with an A and descending starts with a D. The reason why I say do this is if you think about D being down, then you are going down in the numbers, starting with your biggest, working down to your smallest. If you are ascending, you are going up, and so you are going from the smallest to your largest. So ascending, you are looking to go up in numbers from your smallest number to a large number. Whereas when you're descending, you are going down, so you are traveling in the opposite direction. You're going down, and you are going from the larger number down to your smaller number, wherever it must be. Let's have a look at where we could use this and our comparing of numbers in order to help us. So there is a few questions here, so write the numbers in order from smallest to largest. First thing I want you to do, I want you to have a go and see how you can do it and whether you can do it. And then I'll go through it, an easy method to do it, and if there's any shortcuts that we can have. Okay, so hopefully you've had a go. Now, I'm going to show a way that uses our knowledge from previously and helps us order them. The first thing I'm going to do is set up exactly how they've got it in the question with a ones, a decimal point, a tenth, and a hundredths column. Like that. Put my lines in so I know where my columns are. That just helps me remember, making sure I know where my decimal point is and how I'm going to pull that all the way down. Write down the numbers which I've got. So I've got the first number, 3 in the ones column. I've got 0 in the tenths column, and I have 6 in the hundredths column. My next number, I have 3 in the ones, 1 in the tenths, and 5 in the hundredths column. Then again, 3 in the ones, 3 in the tenths, and 3 in the hundredths. And my last one is 1 in the ones, 2 in the tenths, and 5 in the hundredths. Put my decimal points back in. And we've got our numbers. Now what we're going to do is just use this to write our numbers. Now it says from smallest to largest. So what we've got to do is we're going to do the same thing we did for comparing numbers, which is we're going to look down here and we're going to look to compare always our largest column first and see if that helps us place them. So first thing we're doing is we're looking in our ones column and looking for the smallest number, because remember it's going from smallest to largest. So our first number we're looking for is the smallest one. And if any of these are different, then we can use that to our advantage. So in this case, I look down the list, I've got 3, 3, 3, they're all the same. I've got a 1 here, which means this one is smaller. So this is going to be our first number. So I can put a 1 by it. I know this is going to be our first number. Next, I go back through my list and I go, okay, so they're all the same. I can move down to the next column. I don't have to look anymore at any of this number. I'm just looking at these ones here because this one I've already said is going to be the first number. So I can look down, I've got a 0, a 1, and a 3. And remember, I'm looking for the lowest. So 0 is my lowest. I've already got my first number. This is going to be my second number. Then that one's pulled across. So I've done that number. That's going to be my second number. Then I look at the 2 I've got left over. Is there a difference in this column? There is, so we can actually fix it. But if there wasn't, then we could always move down to the next column and see if there's a difference here. So then I can go, okay, pull these numbers across. I've got 1 which is lower than 3, which means this must be my third number, and this one must be my fourth number. So if I was to write them in order, I would put number 1 first, 1.25. My second number, which I had up here, 3.06. My third number, 3.15. And finally, my last number, 3.33. My numbers are in order from the smallest to the largest. Okay, on to our next set of questions. And here they are. We've got a set of numbers, and it says, write these numbers in order from smallest to largest. Again, we're going from smallest to largest, which helps us because it's the same way as we did it before. We'll now go. So what I want you to do is have a go, pause now. Okay, so we could use the same method we used before and set up our place value grid. And you can already see that there's two numbers there which have tens in them. This has got a 20 and this has got a 20. So two numbers are in our tens column. And all we do is put those into our place value as we would do. And we work from the largest and then we'd know which one then was the smallest. So we can do it that way. Or what we can do is we can look at what we've got here and think about doing it in that way, but then just looking at the differences. So the first thing we can do, if we're going from smallest to largest, it doesn't mean to say that we can't find the largest number and put that as our last digit, because it's the same thing in the end. So the first thing we can do is we can look at, we've got two numbers here, this number and this number, both with tens in. This number, and this number don't have tens in them. So we know they must be the largest number. Then we just have to compare those two numbers to see which of those two numbers is the biggest. So we look at the tens column and we can see that in both cases, the tens column is identical. So we can't place either of them yet. We look in our next column, we've got a 6 here in our ones column and a 0 here in our ones column. Now, what that means is that we know that this number is larger because 6 is larger than 0. So the last number, the largest number, our last number, is going to be this number here. So we can draw underneath it and just say, okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means this one must be our fifth number. That then also places this one, because we know it's bigger than all the rest, as our fourth number. Then we can go back down. So we can then look at our next three numbers. We've got this number, and this number, and we're looking to place those. So the first thing is, obviously, we're looking at our ones column. And we look at our ones column, we've got a 6 in this column, a 6 in the ones column here, and a 6 in the ones column here. All the same, so we can't do anything with it. Then we look on the next one. We've got a 2 tenths, no tenths, and 6 tenths. Now at this stage, because we've got the rest of our numbers, we could either place the first, the smallest number, or we could place the next largest and work our way down or work our way up. And it doesn't matter. If we were working from the bottom, the smallest number, we've got a 0 here. There it is. That's smaller than both 6 tenths and 2 tenths. So this actually would be our very first number. So we could place that number as our first number, and then that number is dealt with, and we don't have to think about it anymore. Then we're just comparing this number and this number. We know they're going to be number 2 or 3 within our scale. So we then look in the column that we're currently looking in. We have in this column over here, we've got 2 tenths, we've got 6 tenths over here. 2 tenths is smaller than 6 tenths, so that would come first. That means this one will be the second number we're looking at, and this number would be the third number we're looking at. Then what we can do is place them in a line and place them in order. So our first one is going to be 6.06. Next one after that, we are going to put number 2, which is 6.26. Then we've got 6.66. Then we move on to the two numbers which have tens in their column. We've got 20.26, and we have 26.02. And that's our numbers in order. And I would always go back and just double check as you're going along. So I can go back and have a look. The first thing I can do is I can check my ones column, this one, and this one, and this one are all the same. I can then look in my tenths column. I've got a 0, a 2, and a 6. That's as they go up, so we know they must be in the right order. Then we can look at our final two. These both have 2 in the tens column. Then we've got a 0 here and a 6 here. 0 to 6 is increasing, so they are in the right order, and we can double check that. Okay, so here are your questions for today. Have a go, see what you can do. You can post your answers to Tapestry, where I will like them and check how you are doing. Please do post them if you can. Also, you can have a go onto Times Tables of Rockstars and try and get as much as you can out of that as well. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.